Welcome and welcome back. You're watching WION The World is One, and this is Speed News with me, Joseph Kamal. Let's begin. U.S. President Donald Trump said that he will impose fresh sanctions on Russia if President Vladimir Putin does not agree to negotiations in ending the war with Ukraine, without giving any further details on the new wave of sanctions. Trump said that his government will also address the issue of disbursing weapons to Ukraine. He further added that the European Union should do more in aiding Ukraine. Notably, Russia was already levied with heavy sanctions by the United States following the former's invasion into Ukraine back in 2020. U.S. President Donald Trump said that he was open to tech billionaire Elon Musk buying the video-sharing platform TikTok. And this comes a day after Trump signed an executive order offering TikTok a 75-day grace period that effectively delays the ban ordered by the U.S. Supreme Court last week. The U.S. president also hinted of a 50-50 partnership between the United States and the Chinese parent company ByteDance, though he did not provide details on how this can be achieved. Reports suggest that Chinese officials initiated preliminary talks about a potential option to sell TikTok to Tesla CEO Elon Musk. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced the creation of a new company called Stargate to grow artificial intelligence infrastructure in the country. Trump announced the launch of Stargate in the presence of OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, SoftBank CEO Masayoshi Son, and Oracle Chairman Larry Ellison at the White House. OpenAI later said on social media that the company, along with SoftBank, Oracle, and MGX, is the initial equity funder. OpenAI and SoftBank are lead partners for Stargate. The companies will invest $100 billion and up to $500 billion over the next 4 years in Stargate. The newly inaugurated President of the United States, Donald Trump, is on a firing spree. The latest on the list is four-star Admiral Linda Fagan. According to a statement, the incoming administration found Fagan unfit for several reasons. The statement said she was terminated because of leadership deficiencies, operational failures, and inability to advance the strategic objectives of the U.S. Coast Guard. It has also been alleged that Fagan had put excessive focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. Furthermore, President Trump named 4 other individuals as immediately dismissed. After U.S. President Donald Trump signed pardons of more than 1,500 people who stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, former Proud Boys leader Henry Enrique Tarrio and Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes have been released from prison. Tarrio and Rhodes were convicted of seditious conspiracy in the most serious cases brought by the Justice Department. While Rhodes was serving an 18-year prison sentence, Tarrio was serving a 22-year sentence. Both walked out of the prison hours after Trump signed the clemency order. Rhodes said he felt relief when he heard Trump was taking action to pardon him and the others. He said Jan 6 should be remembered as Patriots' Day. As President Donald Trump began his first full day in office, he was forced to sit through a sermon by a bishop begging him to have mercy on gays and poor immigrants. In an inaugural prayer service sermon, the Episcopal Bishop of Washington appealed directly to Donald Trump to have mercy upon communities across the country targeted by his policies. Trump attended the service with wife Melania and Vice President J.D. Vance as part of the traditional presidential service to commemorate his inauguration. Asked later by a reporter for his reaction, Trump said, "I didn't think it was a good service. They could do much better." U.S. President Trump says he has signed a full and unconditional pardon for Ross Ulbricht. Ulbricht operated the Silk Road online marketplace that facilitated millions of dollars of illegal drug sales. A day after being sworn in, Trump announced the pardon in a post on his Truth Social website. In 2015, Ulbricht was sentenced to life in prison after being convicted of masterminding the dark web platform. According to charges brought against him, some $200 million in narcotics was sold to customers across the world on the website. Greenland's Prime Minister Umut Egde has reaffirmed that the Danish autonomous territory wants to forge its own future and that it doesn't want to become part of the U.S. The statement comes after U.S. President Donald Trump's comments about taking control of the island, citing international security concerns, defending the Arctic island's right to self-determination. Danish Prime Minister emphasized that Greenlanders want to decide their own future, free from Danish or American influence. However, Egde has emphasized that Greenland is open to talks with Washington to safeguard U.S. interests in the Arctic at a time when rivalries with China and Russia in the region are growing. Israel's army chief Herzi Halevi has announced his resignation, taking responsibility for the massive security lapse on October 7, 2023. Halevi will resign on March 6th. Halevi added that he will complete the Israel Defense Forces inquiries into the attack and strengthen the IDF's readiness for security challenges. Defense Minister Israel Katz has said he will meet with potential successors in the coming days. Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid has praised Halevi for stepping down, and he has called on Prime Minister Netanyahu to follow, saying it is time for the government to take responsibility and resign. The Israeli military has launched an operation in Jenin in the West Bank. Netanyahu has said that this is aimed at eradicating terrorism in the area and that it is part of a broader strategy to counter Iran. The Palestinian Health Ministry says the operation has killed 10 people and it has come amid a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for maximum restraint from security forces and said that he remains deeply concerned about the violence in the West Bank. A man allegedly stabbed and wounded 4 people before being shot dead in Tel Aviv. Police has identified the attacker as a 28-year-old foreign national who was shot by security forces. The stabbing happened in a bustling nightlife spot of Israel's commercial capital. Police said a terrorist with a knife started stabbing people on the street, wounding 4 civilians. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with his Quad counterparts, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, Japan's Takeshi Iwaya, and Australia's Penny Wong at the U.S. State Department. In a joint statement after the meeting in Washington, D.C., the Quad foreign ministers said they strongly oppose any unilateral action that seek to change the status quo by force or coercion. They said in the statement they are at present preparing for the next Quad Leaders Summit hosted by India. In a post on social media later, India's Jaishankar said he and Rubio reviewed U.S. and India's extensive bilateral partnership and also exchanged views on a wide range of regional and global issues. China has agreed in principle to extend the repayment period for Chinese loans to ease Bangladesh's foreign debt repayment pressure. Beijing has also assured Dhaka it will look into the request to lower the interest rate on the loans. The promises were made during a meeting between Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and Tauhid Hossain, the Foreign Affairs Advisor of Bangladesh's interim government in Beijing. At the meeting, Hossain has requested China to reduce the interest rate on Chinese loans from 2 to 3% to 1%. He also urged Beijing to waive the commitment and management fees and extending the loan repayment period from 20 years to 30 years. The death toll in the Delhi fire that ripped through a ski resort in northwest Turkey has increased to 76. In the latest, Turkish authorities have arrested 9 suspects, including the owner of the resort, in connection to the incident. The fire broke out at the restaurant of the 12-story Grand Kartal Hotel in the resort of Kartalkaya in Bolu province. Turkey's Interior Minister Ali Yelikaya said that 52 victims have been identified. He added that forensic victims continue their work in determining the identities of the others. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that those responsible for the fire will be held accountable. Bushfires scorched across the county of San Diego in California. The bushfires were fanned by strong Santa Ana winds, broke out on a hillside and moved towards residential buildings. The residents were evacuated from the region while police shut down a section of the road. California firefighters were seen taming the fires with ground crews and helicopters. Reports suggest that there were no injuries or structural damage. As UK retailers deal with rising labor costs, automation is becoming the go-to solution. Big companies are investing heavily in tech. We're already seeing more self-service checkouts in stores, and electronic shelf labels are set to roll out in 2025. These labels let stores change prices with a button, saving hours of work. But it's not just about checkout lines. In warehouses, robots are taking over tasks like packing and moving products, making operations seamless, and even returns are becoming automated, as customers can now drop off unwanted items using self-service machines. Will all this boost tech efficiency? It's also replacing entry-level jobs, leaving fewer positions in retail, an industry that's the UK's largest employer. Now, experts say automation can help with rising costs, but it comes at a price for workers. AI is predicted to add a staggering $4.4 trillion to the global economy each year, but there is a big issue to address first: the digital divide. According to the World Economic Forum report, despite the rapid spread of the internet, over 2.5 billion people still lack access to it, which limits their ability to benefit from services like banking, education, and healthcare. And this goes for developed countries as well. According to the report, AI holds great promise for economic growth, and it's crucial to ensure that it does not reinforce existing biases, particularly those related to race and gender. The key to unlocking AI's full potential is ensuring that everyone, regardless of where they live, has access to the internet, AI education, and the tools needed to take part in this new era of innovation. The UAE is battling over 200,000 cyber attacks every day, with the majority targeting government institutions. According to UAE Cyber Security Council, these attacks are linked to cyber terrorist groups from 14 countries. But it's not just government sectors feeling the heat. Finance, banking, healthcare, and tech industries are also on the receiving end of frequent cyber strikes. The attacks range from data breaches and malware to file-sharing threats. The Council reports that misconfiguration in systems are a major cause of successful attacks, with 27% of breaches attributed to this flaw. Cybersecurity experts warn that 2025 will likely see even more sophisticated attacks, many of them powered by AI. One particular threat is the Black Cat ransomware group, which is responsible for over half of all attacks in the UAE. Oil holds losses as President Donald Trump threatens a tariff on China. This raises concerns over trade wars on several fronts after he said hefty levies on Canada and Mexico were being considered. Brent traded near $79 a barrel following a run of decline since Thursday. Trump's first day in office began with sweeping executive orders, and this includes an overhaul of U.S. energy policy and the threat of tariffs on Canada and Mexico of as much as 25%. Now, both countries are major exporters of goods to the U.S., including crude, which is processed in American refineries. Crude still remains higher so far this year, helped by broad U.S. sanctions on Russia, which have upended physical oil and tanker markets. Japan's retailers, typically among the most tight-fisted of employers, are offering big pay increases for a second year in a row. This possibly means squeezed profits for companies, more spending money for workers, and a green light for more central bank rate hikes. Japan's labor-intensive service sector had long managed to avoid making big or sustained pay raises. Now, they did this by tapping a vast pool of part-time, lower-paid retirees and housewives. But that began to change last year as rapidly shrinking working-age population and rising inflation made it harder for retailers to attract and retain staff. The central bank is eyeing rate hikes on a sustained virtuous cycle of higher wages that support higher prices for services as well as for manufacturing goods. Gold holds near the highest since the early November. Traders monitor the outlook for the global economy as President Donald Trump continues to sketch out his views on trade and immigration policies. Investors are focused on the implications of the Trump administration's tariff and tax cut policies, which would likely erode the nation's finances and reignite inflation. That may limit the Federal Reserve's ability to keep easing monetary policy. Higher borrowing costs typically pose a headwind for bullion, as it does not pay interest. Gold set a series of records in 2024, with gains driven by Fed's pivot to looser monetary policy, geopolitical tensions, and central bank buying. The precious metal may receive a further boost amid concerns about the new president's immigration policy and trade wars.